There's a nightline on this trend. Hey, get out of there. What are you doing? Place. Don't want to get theological here, but what is the average Muslim consensus towards the 10 Commandments? What? I don't think Muslims think about the 10 Commandments at all. You know who does, though? Tradwives do. Most Christians don't think about them either. Yeah, or they definitely don't abide by them. This kind of stuff is just a flex, okay? That's what this is. All this is doing is just flexing. Flexing the muscle, flexing the might, showing the country that, or showing those who do care about this kind of shit, that they have the capability and the power and the interest to do it. Turn off autoplay? Why? Why would I turn off autoplay? Okay, I'm being rude. I need to dial back my rudeness. I'm sorry for saying shut. But also, why would I do that? I'm hangry. I think it's just this is flex mode for the Republican Party. Come on, honestly, I know you're into Tradwives. Yeah, I don't give a. There are YouTube vids of people showing whole. Yeah, but this is a playlist, chatter. The Republican strategy seemingly has been, at the state level especially, go as hard as you can, YOLO mode. We don't care about what this potentially shows to the rest of the American public about like what could happen if the Republicans won. They're just, like I said, that's why I'm saying, like, they're going YOLO mode. 18.55. Okay. And yeah, to answer that chatter's question, like I will repeat once again, the Tradwives. I do think, however, it's just sex work. As all Tradwives are. It's sex work. Anyone that doesn't see it as that is deluding themselves. All right, let's continue.
The definition of a tradwife is not merely someone who stays at home, but who romanticizes it in a sort of retro nostalgic way, where we are looking back not only to the way things worked in the 50s, but the values that families had in the 50s.
The unofficial queen of the tradwife movement, Nara Smith, the 22-year-old former model and mother of 3, followed by millions. Other TikTok stars like Esty Williams also proudly tagging their content. It's a trend launching think pieces and op-eds all around the world.
There's a new generation, though, of young women. They are proudly embracing this label of trad wife.
This trad wife, I guess it's a Gen Z thing.
I'm sorry, 50 years ago was not a place I ever want to be back.
Exactly.
But there could be more at work here. A recent study found that tradwife content on less regulated platforms like YouTube and X, formerly known as Twitter, could steer social media users down the rabbit hole of radical far-right content and misinformation, something podcasters and YouTubers are picking up on.
Whether tradwives intend to or not, their politics serve as a starting point for alt-right radicalization.
As the trend rises, American women are trying to avoid a new culture war, pitting moms who work against the moms who choose to stay home.
I think for a lot of women, work is not necessary, it's a preference.
What do you say to the commenters who say you're setting women back 50 years?
Oh, I just disagree completely.
Do you ever get criticized for being a working mom?
On social media, there's a lot of criticism of like, who's raising your kids right now?
The trend recently hit a boiling point after Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker said this in a commencement speech last month.
So I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you.
I loved what he had to say about motherhood. I didn't really find an issue with it at all.
But how does that work in a modern society where more than 56% of American women are in the workforce, significantly more than in 1950?
It's such a simple little toy, but it's really educational.
Ivy says she always wanted to be a mom.
So this is just one piece.
I think the inherent irony of tradwife content is that, like, they literally talk about staying at home in the kitchen and presenting themselves as like traditional wives, right? Barefoot and pregnant. except they're still working. They're literally making money. The major reason as to why 56% of women work is because it's impossible to have a fucking one-income household that is sustainable. Everything is too goddamn expensive. How are you going to pay for fucking rent? How are you going to pay for the $5 a month subscription to the Hasanabi broadcast? You can't do it on your own. You need a partner, maybe with a boyfriend who has an Amazon Prime account that you can connect to your Twitch account and steal their Amazon Prime Twitch account for your own. Make it your own. And subscribe at the top of the hour so you avoid the 3-minute ad break.
So when you were in college studying broadcast journalism, did you have a dream job?
I've always wanted to be a mom, to be honest with you, and that doesn't even sound like your classic dream job, but I did just want a family.
Now mom to 2 boys, she juggles snack time and craft time with content creation.
What does being a trad wife mean to you?
Obviously, just a traditional wife. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, kind of have this negative view of the way people used to live. I was really close with my grandma and with both my grandmothers and even my great-grandmother, and they were just like the coolest women. When I hear homemaker, when I hear traditional woman, I think of really amazing women. The tradwife lifestyle is sold as one that is relaxing and beautiful for the people who participate in it and for the husbands and the families who benefit from it. It is a vision of a lifestyle that is not really attainable.
Nowadays, it's often a privilege to have a single income sustaining an entire family. Government statistics show more than half of all U.S. households, 54%, have 2 incomes. That's more than double the number from 1955. Not to mention, more than 80% of all single parents are moms.
There's an economic impact, and that giving up that financial independence is actually putting not just you, but your kids' future at risk.
Obviously, like, I have a degree, I have things I could do. Women like me have thought about that, and we know that things can go wrong.
Bro, you are doing things. You're doing the thing. Your presentation is the thing. Like, when you're talking about being a trad wife and making money off of the influencer shit that you're doing, you're literally still working. This inherently is so stupid. Like, the conversation is so dumb. That's why I'm always like, listen, this is straight up. It's just straight up fucking sex work. So many of the lonely losers online hunting for a trad wife just want a partner who has no friends or coworkers. Therefore, she can never cheat or leave them. For the men, that's what so much of it boils down to. Control, just like homeschooling. Damn, M. Hood. Coming out with some smoke for homeschooling. You made it out all right. The Hudson brothers made it out all right. They all became Hasanabi heads. Why is homeschooling legal? Because we are a freak nation. Okay? That's why. Straight up. We are literally the freakest of freak nations. Like, it blows my mind that it is legal. It's just so weird.
The pros for me outweigh the cons, and the reward outweighs the risk.
And yet, research shows as women get older, they bear a heavier financial burden, especially after death or divorce. The average age of widowhood is 59 years old, but women on average live decades longer. Ivy says she and her husband choose this life, knowing the financial sacrifices.
I will make a list at the beginning of the week of what we're having for dinner. The list is based on the ads from the grocery stores around here. It's all electronic, so I have all my grocery apps. It takes so much time and so much planning. I feel like I do a good job of pretending like I have new things, but it's all thrift stores. It's all Facebook Marketplace. This is
Bro, why isn't this lady asking, how much money are you making being a tradwife content creator? Like, how much financial support are you offering your husband while claiming that this is a one-parent income household? Like, what do you mean? It's so odd. Oh, it's really tough on us. It's like, is it? Because you're still working.
Goodwill. My other addresses are Goodwill.
I do not call myself a trad wife. I call myself a classic wife, really a classic mom.
For Abby Roth, social media has allowed her to share her more
Abby
conservative
Roth?
views, including strong opinions on the roles of men.
I guess that's her husband's last name. I was about to say, that's Abigail Shapiro, baby. Ben Shapiro's sister. For those of you who don't, that literally is Ben Shapiro's sister. I'm not joking. I forget that maybe some people are not as tapped in to the lore. Also known as Classically Abby. It is weird that Brett Cooper looks more like Ben Shapiro as a woman than Abigail Shapiro does, even though she's Ben's sister.
Men and women.
Men are definitely in a position to protect and make sure that mom can do what she needs to do so the kids get nurtured. And that's the thing that really breaks my heart, is the women who would love to stay at home, but just feel like they can't, feel like they shouldn't, feel like they have too many other obligations to their potential. A little fish in there?
The Orthodox Jew and opera singer stepped away from her life on stage and often talks about the expectations women have about career and family.
A lot of women are told that they're going to find their fulfillment and they're going to fulfill their potential through their careers. And then it's harder and harder to meet men. And then they find themselves alone and it's hard. If you look at somebody's tombstone, that's what it's going to say. Wonderful daughter, wonderful mother, wonderful wife. It's not going to say wonderful CEO.
Like Ivy, Abby says she's not against moms who work. She understands that single moms and two-income households are a reality. But
women have always had a role economically. It just needs to be put in its proper place. I think for a lot of women, work is not necessary. It's a preference. Even though there's this narrative that being at home means you are giving up your career and giving up your dreams.
Work is not necessary. It's a preference. What crack pipe are you smoking on, Abby? No, it absolutely is. I'm certain that if given the opportunity, plenty of women and men, as a matter of fact, would love to be stay-at-home dads and moms. Okay? It's just that you can't really do that because you have to pay rent. What the fuck are we talking about? Why is she making it seem like this is totally voluntary? Like women are in the workforce for the funsies and not because they have to eat food and have a roof over their fucking heads. And also beyond that, obviously, like the problem with tradwifing, I guess, is that they promote all aspects of this like supposedly mythical time in the 50s when women were much happier, when obviously that is objectively not true. Because once given the opportunity, women did seize on the opportunity of entering the workforce. So I don't really understand why they make this argument. Like, it's not actually what they're presenting to you, even though they try to act like it's simply just a different lifestyle choice. It's all the other shit that they're not showing you that, you know, people are looking for. It's a cultural signifier for oppressing and controlling women's lives, as the bringing it back to a time when they were just simply your property, you know? Which is ironic because in the 50s, if you were trying to make tradwife content, your husband would come home and beat your fucking ass because the soup was too cold or shitty, or because he was just angry about some other things like, I don't know, black people getting rights or something.
When you have children, children become your dream in a lot of ways.
But many women think you don't have to choose. Dr. Karen Tang is a board-certified OBGYN, surgeon, and book author. She's also been married for nearly 20 years and is the proud working mother of 3 kids.
Do you ever get criticized for being a working mom?
It's not just myself, but actually other women physicians that I know on social media, there's a lot of criticism of like, who's raising your kids right now? And why did you have kids if you can't raise them? No one would say that to a man.
Go.
You're a bit of a TikTok sensation.
Oh my God. I joke that I'm a geriatric TikToker because, like, age-wise, I could be the mom of pretty much everyone else on TikTok. So kind of sealing it close, like right underneath there.
As a parent, specifically a working mom, Karen worries that the tradwife trend leaves out the important and often difficult parts of parenthood.
It's almost more of like an aesthetic. Like, I think a lot of people who see like trad wives on social media know it's a little bit of a performance.
Some of the criticism of the tradwife movement is that it pushes women back to not just a 50s aesthetic, but a 50s mindset.
Women didn't have rights. You couldn't have a credit card or a bank account. So I think romanticizing this idea of going back in time but not remembering the realities is dangerous.
What do you make of the fact that when you start engaging with the tradwives hashtag, you start getting things like misinformation and conspiracy theories on your For You page?
Exactly. It's no longer just that this is a wonderful way to, like, choose to live your life. It's become associated with misinformation.
Don't let your hands touch the
Being so busy means Dr. Tang and her husband share the...
It's so funny that we're just like, it's just repackaged misogyny. Like, that's all it is. I ultimately don't care about it because it's like, it's whatever. It's all like all aesthetics. And in and of itself, when it moves beyond sex work and becomes too preachy, people do move away from that a little bit. So you have to, retriangulate your tradwife content by saying the N-word and trying to, desperately cultivate a larger right-wing audience. That escalated quickly. Hey man, that's what they're doing. The normal OnlyFans sex worker to tradwife content creator pipeline to right-wing charlatan pipeline is active. One of many of the wonderful routes that are readily available for people. Okay. You also have the sex worker to crystal influencer, then to right-wing influencer pipeline, like the anti-vaxxer route. It's awesome.
The household duties. How untraditional are the gender roles in your family?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't care about it if it's repackaged misogyny? Don't you care about the misogyny aspect then? And that's making misogyny worse? Yes, I don't care. I'm a man and I'm misogynistic. And you're totally not misunderstanding either voluntarily to chirp in the chat or ultimately not misunderstanding the point at all. I'm saying I don't care about it as far as aesthetics goes, as far as like it being sex work. But the moment that they start trying to package it with like actual right-wing framing, because it's not misogyny if you're simply just saying like, I like being a stay-at-home mom. That is not inherently misogynistic. Okay? It's not inherently misogynistic to be like, I like the choice. I'm very profoundly fortunate that I'm so privileged and so fortunate that like I can live this lifestyle. Okay? Nobody wants to fucking work. It's not a bad thing. But the moment that you move away from that and start talking about like how women should be devoid of agency and that this lifestyle isn't just about, I don't know, making fucking cookies from scratch or whatever, but instead it's actually about like how women should do this. This is their place in society, and advocating to remove that aspect of choice. Well, then it, I think personally, starts making this type of content like less sexy for those who want to jerk off to it anyway. Does that make sense? Because ultimately, that's all this is sex work. And when sex work starts getting preachy, people are like, oh, well, I can't jerk off to this anymore.
I definitely have had people tell me that I'm a full-time dad, which I think is kind of a funny way to put it. But like, yeah, I take on a lot of things that I think people might assume are a woman's role sometimes.
For example?
I do almost all the grocery shopping, a good deal of the cooking. We get a lot of help from Karen's parents. Dads are missing out if they're not having these experiences. I think we should re-examine what it means to be a man.
What would you say to somebody who went on your wife's page and said, you're not a good mom?
I would invite them to come and see how hard she works and how much she does.
Hello.
This guy's
Karen
living
says
the fucking
the
dream.
tradwives trend should not be Mommy Wars Part 2.
Women should have that freedom to choose. The problem is those who say that, you shouldn't have a choice, that all women should do this, like this is the ideal situation for everyone.
Do you consider yourself a good mom?
Oh my God, that's a great question. And I think my initial response, says so much, because my honest initial response was like, I'm okay. But I think if you ask my kids, I think they would say I'm a really good mom.
So what did you do today?
When it comes to feeling like my kids, that they feel supported, that they're happy, they're healthy, I revise my answer. I say, I think I'm a really great mom.
That message of choice and tolerance is one Ivy agrees with.
What would you say to women who would say to you, I love my job, I love my career, and I don't love my kids any less than you do?
I would say I believe you. And so I wouldn't even challenge that. I know that moms love their children. I think a lot of people assume that I think I'm telling everybody you need to do this and you need to live like me, and I'm not. But I do think a lot of women should consider it. That's kind of my message, is that you can want this.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. I don't think she's like Abigail Shapiro.
Through the Erie, Pennsylvania, like post office.
All right, we're gonna get back to the fucking beauties of the far right and the far right fighting against one another. There's a couple fucking quick hits I gotta hit. Number one, Mehdi Hasan grilling Dean Phillips on some unhinged shit. We're going to do Kendrick too.
We saw 4 Israeli hostages rescued from inside of Gaza by an Israeli military and police operation, returned to their families. A very good thing. President Biden, Secretary of State Blinken, National Security Advisor
Didn't cover Louisiana very much. What do you want me to say? They put fucking their... What do you want me to say about it? They want to put the 10 Commandments in every fucking classroom. Like, what is there to say? Like, actually, I'm not trying to be aggro with you, even though it came across as aggro. It's Louisiana. Diatribe about church and state, 2 hours minimum.